welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Ren and I make videos a couple times a week about books and pop culture, and it is officially my favourite time of the year. It's my favourite season. It's always been my favourite season. I love this time of year. I enjoy watching the leaves change in autumn, and I enjoy the cooler air and it feeling crisp and nice, and I've always just been a fan of it. I do not thrive in summer. I'm not a summer person. I am an autumn. So because of that, I thought it would be really fun to do a little bit of an autumn reading guide. So I have few different genres of books and different categories, and I thought that I would share them with you so you can hopefully pick your next read for this season. But before we get into that, if you guys are new here, then make sure to click the subscribe button and also turn on the notifications so you never miss an upload, and also give this video a like if you like it. All the information for my other social medias and also my bookish podcast are in the description below as well. So without further ado, let's get into the book rec. So I've categorized this with dark academia, cozy, and then a mismatch of like different forms of horror. So some of these are like actually genuinely quite scary, and some of these are more like campy horror, if that makes sense. Hopefully you'll see what I mean. So it's like a mismatch. So there's like witches, vampires, ghosts, that kind of thing, and then we've got cozy, and then we've got dark academia. Some of these I will just show a picture because they are literally like the bottoms of my shelf, and as you can see my stepladder is out, so I've been getting a lot of books down, but there's others and I was like, I'll just show a picture. So let's start with dark academia because everybody loves dark academia this time of year, and actually I want to share the book that I am currently reading, which is downstairs, which is Where Sleeping Girls Lie. I am loving this. It is boarding school, and it is a new girl called Shade. She's shown up and her roommate has basically like gone missing the first night that she's there, and it's everything from there and trying to figure out what happened. Really loving this, thinking it's really good. So even though I haven't finished it, I thought I would recommend. So we have the typical ones. I don't think I could make this video and not talk about Ninth House. You know, if dark academia appeals to you, I'm sure that you've seen Ninth House be spoken about on the internet quite a bit, but it is genuinely phenomenal. I think that the Ninth House series is Leigh Bardugo's best work, and that is high praise. I am a massive Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom fan, so to give it that praise is huge, but it is absolutely phenomenal. It is everything that I want in a dark academia book, like just so well done, and I absolutely love it. I cannot wait for the next one. I have to say about Ninth House. And then I got In These Hallowed Halls, which I have been making my way through, and this is a bunch of short dark academia stories by a bunch of different authors. So we have Olivia Blake, Emma L. Rio, David Bell, Susie Yang, Lane Fargo, J.T. Ellison, James St. Hill, Kelly Andrew, Phoebe Wine, Katie Weinberg, Helen Grant, and Tori Bovolino. It's just a bunch of dark academia anthology. I've been making my way through this. I've been really enjoying them. It's a nice little mixture of different stories, so I thought that I would put this one in there as well. And then I have A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid, and this focuses on Effie, and she loves fairy tales, and in particular she loves this one particular author, and his stories is what's getting her through her first year at her first term at school. The author has died, and the family announced a competition to redesign his house. Effie gets it, but she hasn't got it alone. There's someone else, and they're kind of digging into the author's secrets and uncovering everything, and it's everything from there. Then we have If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This is Oliver Marks, and he's just got out of prison after serving 10 years for a murder that he may or may not have committed. Then he's greeted by the detective that put him in prison, who wants to know everything that happened a decade before, and it is that story. It is really good. I mean, it's pretty dark. Like, it's not like I don't think it's a dark academia that's like for the faint-hearted, but it's very good. Then we have Babel, which is Oxford in the 1800s, and it is historical fantasy. Oxford Royal Institute of Translation, which is Babel. It is magic and translation and the importance of that, and the institution that it is in. I love it. I love R.F. Kuang's writing, and I think it's a phenomenal dark academia novel. So moving on to the cozies. So I read this recently and it has to be on this list, and that's Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell. This is a graphic novel that was written by Rainbow Rowell and illustrated by Faith Erin Hitt, Deja and Joshua, and every year they work at a pumpkin patch and this will be their final year working there, and it is their last shift basically, and it's so cute and so sweet, and I absolutely loved it. Very autumnal book, but yeah, I loved this one. Then we have Legends and Lattes, and this is Viv, who is an orc barbarian, and after years of fighting and adventuring and that kind of thing, Viv decides that she's going to settle down and open up a coffee shop. And it is everything from there. And then we have Till Death Do Us Bard, and this focuses on Logan, and he hasn't been on an adventure, he hasn't done anything like this for a while. He's just settled down with his husband Pi, but then when Pi goes missing, he kind of has to get back into it and go on a hunt for him, and it is everything from there. Then we have Mooncakes. This is another graphic novel. Nova is a witch, Tam is a werewolf, and they reconnect, and it is everything from there. And I love this because Nova has hearing aids just like me, and they're on the cover, and I love that you can see them on the cover. But that's also super cute, little cute fantasy romance, very adorable. And then we have You Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. This focuses on Rhaena and Chianthi, and they are basically leaving their jobs as the Royal Guard and also a mage, and just wanting to settle down and do something significantly less stressful. And then they open a bookshop that has tea and cake. Lots of stuff goes on. There's still magical stuff. There's dragons in this, and everything kind of, you know, it's not all perfect, but it's super sweet, and I really enjoyed this. I actually read this on my Kindle ages before it like blew up online, and it then got like republished. Also, the final for the cozy is The Sad Ghost Club. This is a series that I do have, but they're at the very bottom of my graphic novel pile. I love these books so much. It's about finding your kindred spirits and people that are like you, and I love how the story goes on and how it is, and it's just so wonderful, and I cannot recommend them enough, so that's also on that list. Okay, now let's move on to kind of like the mixture of kind of, some of these are quite creepy, some of these are less so. The first one I want to talk about is House of Leaves. This book made me feel like I was going insane. So this is just so good. This is on Johnny, and he finds a notebook that was kept by someone called Zampano, who's just recently passed away, and Johnny finds this notebook, and this is kind of like everything that's in the book, and as Johnny is reading the book and going through it, and like it's just really messes with your head. I think like I felt like I was going on a bit of a mind trip. This book, it messes with your brain, fair warning, but it's very good. Then we have The Girl from the Well by Rin Chapeko, and this is so good. This is one of my favorite horror books of all time. Okiku, who is a ghost, her life was brutally taken from her, and now she will hunt down people who are trying to do that to other children, and she will kill them. And there's Tarquin, his mum is Japanese, and his mum is currently in a psychiatric facility because of things that she was seeing, and Tarquin's kind of also got this connection with spirits, and Okiku kind of like gets bonded to Tarquin, and it's everything from there. He can see her, he can feel her, no one else can, and it's everything from there. And I love these books. Like I genuinely cannot say how much I love these books. There's two of them. The sequel is so good. The sequel is actually, they go to Japan and they go to Aokigahara Forest, and I have always been a huge advocate of talking about Aokigahara Forest correctly, because it has a lot of stigma and a lot of stereotypes, but actually I feel like it was explored very well in the sequel, and kind of like the approach to Aokigahara was handled very well. So yeah, absolutely love these. Definitely good for this time of year. The audiobook is really good if you're interested in that. I've picked up only one book for this, but any works. The Fear Street series, it's R.L. Stine who did Goosebumps. Goosebumps is also a very good recommendation, but there's just something about Fear Street. Like all of the different series is so good, and if you're like, there's also the 3-part film series on Netflix, which is also phenomenal. I love these. I think they're so good. I think they're so good for this time of year. I think they're so easy to get through, and I think some parts of them are genuinely quite scary. Like there's little parts which is like, again, campy horror, a bit like how Goosebumps is in some elements, but again, like Goosebumps, there's some bits that are genuinely quite creepy, so I definitely recommend these. Then also The Midnight Club by Christopher Lee. It's a hospice with terminally ill adolescents, and they meet at midnight and they tell really spooky stories, and then they also agree that the first one to die is going to try and come back and haunt them. Like, it's so good because I think that it does such an amazing job at looking at illness and talking about illness, as well as also having those spooky elements as like at the same time. Like, I think it's done very well and explored very well. Also on Netflix, and very good, so I thought we'd recommend that as well. We have Starling House, and no one really knows when Starling House was built, where it appeared from, what happened. And then Opal, she knows that she shouldn't really do this, she shouldn't really go there, but a job at Starling House opens and she takes it, and it is everything from there. It's creepy, good elements to it, very good for this time of year, and I really enjoy it. And then this is the Invocations. This is just the special edition of it, so I don't have the dust jacket, and this is a world where only women can use magic, but men are very, like, they want to try and kill the women that can use magic, and there's 5 women that are dead, and it is everything from there and trying to figure out what happened and what's going on. And then we have the Manningtree Witches. It dives into the English witch trials and the witch hunter, and how that's kind of the community that's in this book, and how they kind of become terrified of the witch hunter and everything from there, and kind of the attack on women. Then we have Eternally Yours, which is an anthology of paranormal romance. I love this. I think this is really good. There's a really good variety of stories in this, and I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a really good time of year to read it. And then we have What Walks These Halls by Amy Clarkin. So there's a house called Hyacinth House, and Raven and her brother, their dad died in Hyacinth House because he was a paranormal investigator, so then they've kind of stopped everything. But then Archer, her brother, gets the opportunity to investigate Hyacinth House 5 years later, and his sister doesn't want to, but he gets a team together, wants to do it, meets someone who can hear and see things, and they investigate this house, and it is everything from there. I loved this book. I thought it was really good. It was a really good mixture of like phenomenal characters and story development, and also very spooky in lots of elements, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, so it has to be on this list. It's a very good time of year to read it. Then we have, this is another anthology. This is Queer Little Nightmares, and it is a monstrous fiction and poetry. Loved this. Perfect time of year to dive into this. This is what I love about the short stories as well, is that they're so well done in like so many of the ones I've recommended. Like, they're so well done, and you can dive into them and read a spooky story every night, and it's like stories to tell in the dark, and it's so good. And I absolutely loved Queer Little Nightmares as well. A very good mixture of books. We also have The Girl That Can Move Shit With Her Mind, and that entire series, which I will always scream about. Really good time of year to read it. Genuinely, I think it's so good, and it is exactly that, a girl that can move shit with her mind. But as it develops, there's kind of more investigation into like how that's possible, and the people that she's hiding from and running from and working for, and it's just such a good, it's so good, and a very good time of year to read it. I think it's definitely a full spooky season book, and the whole series is just so good, and I love it. Then we have Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. This is on Yadriel, and he is trans, and he wants to prove that he can do what the boys do. He wants to prove that he can do that. So he decides that he's going to bring someone back from the dead so he can figure out what happened. But he brings the wrong person back. He brings back a classmate, and it's everything from there. I love this book. This is one of my favourite books ever. I love Aidan Thomas. I love Aidan's storytelling. And this is one of my just like all-time favourite books. I think it's so good, and I absolutely adored it. And then we have Mina and the Undead. Mina and the Slayer, Mina and the Cult. Mina goes to visit her sister in New Orleans, and the vampire tours and everything goes on there. But maybe there's a little bit more truth than they originally thought. These are like not as scary, I think. These are more like fun. Absolutely love them, and I love this whole like Be Kind Rewind because it's set in the 90s. So I just love the whole thing. And then we have another spooky one, and that is Heart Shaped Box by Joe Hill. This book fucked me out. Like, this book is actually genuinely very scary. So please, proceed with caution. Yeah, like the way Joe Hill writes is actually genuinely quite terrifying, and Heart Shaped Box really messed with my brain, but very good time of year to read it and a very good novel. Finally, we have another anthology, 14 tales of trans magical stories, in all their variety and all their different forms, and with all characters who express different gender identities and exploring lots of different things. And I love these. Again, really good mixture, not really scary, I would say. So yes, that was my little autumn book guide. I hope you find something in this that you want to read and that you enjoy. Please let me know your recommendations in the comments as well, and we can all discuss together. And like I said, if you guys are new here, I make videos a couple of times a week about books and pop culture, so if you want to stick around and join us, feel free to hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell. And as usual, all the links to my other social medias and my bookish podcast will be in the description as well. Thank you guys for watching. I hope we're doing really well, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.